What if the real struggle in your life isn't with the world around you, but with a part of yourself you refuse to see? Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This hidden part of you, the one you avoid, deny, or don't even know exists, he called it the shadow. The shadow is not evil. It is not wrong. It is simply unseen, and the longer we ignore it, the more it controls us from the dark. Imagine wearing a mask every day, smiling on the outside while something wild and powerful lives just behind your eyes. That force, that unspoken tension, is your shadow. This journey isn't about fixing yourself. It's about facing yourself, and that means opening a door most people spend their lives avoiding. Carl Jung wasn't just a doctor of the mind. He was a philosopher of the soul. While others tried to explain behavior, Jung asked deeper questions. Why do we suffer? What does the soul want? What lies hidden beneath our everyday thoughts? He believed we are more than just what we think or feel. Inside us are ancient symbols, stories, and patterns. He called them archetypes. These are the blueprints of the human experience. They live in what he named the collective unconscious. Jung studied myths, religions, dreams, and symbols from all over the world. He saw that shadow work wasn't just about mental health. It was a sacred path toward becoming whole. He looked into his own darkness. He wrote about visions, dreams, and personal battles that most scientists would never dare share, because he believed that truth lives in the places we fear to go. Shadow work, in Jung's view, was more than therapy. It was a journey toward the soul. So what exactly is the shadow? The shadow is made of everything inside you that you've hidden, rejected, or been told was wrong. It can be your anger, your fears, your desires, but also your talents, your passion, your truth. As children, we learn to fit in. We act good to be loved, praised, accepted, and slowly, parts of us are pushed into the dark. Not gone, just forgotten. But the shadow doesn't disappear. It leaks out. Through sudden anger, jealousy, guilt, it shows up in the people we hate or fear. It shows up in our relationships, our addictions, our patterns. You might think you're in control, but if you haven't met your shadow, it may be running the show. Facing it means seeing truths we'd rather avoid. But in doing so, we begin to take our power back. Jung believed that our greatest gifts often lie in the shadow. What we reject might be what makes us whole. So what do we do with this shadow? Do we fight it, bury it again? No, we integrate it. That means we bring it into the light. We accept it, understand it, and learn from it. In ancient times, alchemists tried to turn lead into gold. Jung believed this was a symbol for inner work. We take the lead of our darkness and turn it into the gold of wisdom. Shadow work is an inner transformation. It's not easy. It takes courage. But every time we face a hidden part of ourselves, we become more free. You might talk to your shadow in a journal. Notice it in dreams. See it in how you react to others. It takes time, but slowly the fear turns into clarity, and you begin to feel whole. Not perfect, but real. This is not about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you really are. Here's the twist. The shadow doesn't just live inside us. We see it in others. When you meet someone you instantly dislike, when someone triggers you without reason, that might be your shadow speaking. This is called projection. We project what we don't like in ourselves onto other people. We call them arrogant, selfish, weak, cruel. But sometimes, we're describing something we fear in ourselves. Think of how enemies are made in politics, religion, or even school. Often we turn people into monsters, so we don't have to face our own. Jung said that what we hate in others may be what we refuse to accept in ourselves. This idea can shake us, but it can also free us. Because once we see the mirror, we can stop reacting and start understanding. Everyone carries a shadow, and when we recognize it in others, we grow in compassion. and power. Some of the deepest shadows are born from pain, from trauma, from moments when life broke us open. Jung knew this well. He wrote about his own dark night of the soul, a time when he lost his way, felt madness rising, and walked through a deep inner storm. But he said something remarkable. In that darkness he found truth. Ancient mystics and poets speak of the same thing, that sometimes it is our suffering that awakens us. Your pain is not meaningless. It may be your soul's way of calling you back. Shadow work honors the wound. It doesn't rush to fix it. It listens. And through that listening, something sacred is born. Your deepest pain may hold your greatest power. The goal of shadow work isn't to become perfect, it's to become whole. Jung called this process individuation. It means becoming your true self. Not who the world wants you to be, but who you were born to be. This journey is lifelong. You don't arrive at some final version of yourself. You keep unfolding, like a story written from within. It takes honesty. It takes patience. But every step brings you closer to a life that feels real. Not easier, but truer. In knowing your darkness, you begin to walk in your own light. We often think the shadow is the worst in us. But what if it's the best in us? Just hidden. Your power, your wildness, your creativity, your truth, all buried because someone told you it was too much. Carl Jung showed us that the enemy isn't our darkness, it's our fear of facing it. So, now ask yourself, if you met your shadow today, would you recognize your soul inside it? The journey doesn't end here. It begins now. Step into the dark and find your light. What if the biggest thing holding you back is you? Not the version of you that you show to the world, but the version you hide, even from yourself. Deep inside, there's a part of you that carries your fears, your anger, your guilt, but also your forgotten dreams, your buried strength, and the power you've been too afraid to use. Carl Jung called this part the shadow. And here's the strange part. The more you ignore it, the more it controls you. What if every time you judged someone, every time you felt triggered or scared or confused, it was your shadow trying to get your attention? This isn't just about psychology. This is about your soul. So the question is, are you brave enough to turn around and face the part of yourself you've been running from? Let's begin the journey. Carl Jung was more than just a psychologist. He was like a modern-day philosopher, a mind explorer, a soul mapper. He didn't just want to fix broken minds. He wanted to understand the mystery of what it means to be human. He studied dreams. He read myths and ancient symbols. He listened to the stories that came from deep inside people's unconscious minds. Jung believed we are all made of opposites, light and dark, good and bad, known and unknown. He said that real growth doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from becoming whole. His idea of the shadow came from his own journey. After a painful break with Sigmund Freud, Jung fell into a deep inner crisis. He wrote about strange dreams, inner voices and symbols that led him into a kind of spiritual awakening. He didn't just study the mind. He walked into it. And what he found changed everything. The shadow is everything inside you that you don't want to admit is there. It's the part of you that feels shame, the part that gets jealous, the part that gets angry when someone else succeeds. It's the wild voice inside that you try to shut up because the world told you it wasn't good enough. But here's the truth. The shadow isn't evil. It's human. When we were kids, we learned quickly what got us love and what didn't. We hid the parts of us that were too loud, too sensitive, too curious, too different, and those parts didn't disappear. They just went underground. The shadow holds not only pain but potential, not just darkness, but power. Imagine a closet where you've been throwing everything you didn't want to deal with. One day, that door bursts open. The mess spills out. That's what happens when we don't face the shadow. It eventually forces its way into our lives, and when it does, It often looks like sabotage, like repeating the same mistakes, pushing people away. Feeling stuck, Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So the monster you've been afraid of, it might just be you, waiting to be seen. When we push things into the shadow, we don't get rid of them. We just stop seeing them. But they still act on us. Unseen anger becomes passive aggression. Denied fear becomes control. Repressed desire turns into shame. And when lots of people deny their shadows, chaos follows.